So hey, Suze.
Hi, Kev.
How are you?
Here we are. We're doing another video. Why don't you tell them what we're going to be talking about?
So, I was going to ask you, what do you think the cost of living in Deerfield Beach is?
I don't know. Let's tell everybody.
What's up, folks? I'm Kev.
And I'm Suze.
And this is Living in Fort Lauderdale with Kev and Suze. We're local realtors, and as much as we love doing our videos, and we do, especially on days like today,
We'd like to thank you for stopping by our channel and welcome back. And if you're new, we're glad you found us.
today we're going to talk about the cost of living in Deerfield Beach. What does it really cost to live in Deerfield Beach? Deerfield Beach is a small little town. Actually, it's not really all that small, but it's right in between Boca to the north and Pompano Beach to the south. Deerfield Beach is kind of a tale of two cities.
What do you mean by the tale of two cities?
Basically what it is that we have East Deerfield Beach and we have West Deerfield Beach. Two very different places in some respects and very, very similar in other respects. But essentially, the way we look at this, at kind of dividing it, if you use Federal Highway, which is the big drag for us down here, but for those of you that are not from South Florida, not living in South Florida, think of it as US 1, that little road that goes from all the way up from the Canadian border up in Maine, all the way down to Key West. Basically, everything east of US 1 in Deerfield Beach is East Deerfield Beach. Everything west of US 1 in Deerfield Beach is West Deerfield Beach. East Deerfield Beach has two or three really, really significant characteristics. First and foremost, it's the closest part of Deerfield Beach to the ocean. So you have oceanfront. The second thing is it also has the intercoastal waterway kind of going through the middle of it. Now, the difference between this and West Deerfield Beach is that West Deerfield Beach, much like East Deerfield Beach, has condos and single-family homes, but they also have villas, they also have some townhomes, but what they really have different is they have a little bit more business activity going on. You have organizations like JM Family Enterprise, which is one of the largest employers down here in Deerfield Beach, if not private employers in South Florida. You also have a lot of government going on, the Deerfield Beach local government.
Okay.
You also have some significant representation of Broward County, and you're very, very close to the Palm Beach County line going into Boca, so you have folks that work in Boca that live in Deerfield Beach too. So you kind of have all three of those.
What is the difference between the two? Let's explain.
The biggest difference is basically the property. At last check, and I looked at it earlier this morning before we came out, the average listing price for a property, be it a condo or a single family home, kind of blended all together, here in East Deerfield Beach is about $1.1 million. Basically running about par the way things have been. Now, if you go to the West Deerfield Beach, the average listing price for the combination of condos, single family homes, townhomes, and the villas is about $310,000. One of the biggest differences is over in West Deerfield Beach is that there's a lot of over 55 communities over there, so it's very, very attractive to the seniors and the folks that are looking to retire down here. But the biggest thing you're going to see the difference is going to be the property values, the property costs.
Well, and a lot of it has to do with the location.
But you're also going to see an increase in the ancillary costs around there. The taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance are going to be a lot higher too. Determining the cost of living isn't just about real estate. It's looking at the full picture, everything that goes into it. It's looking at salaries, it's looking at taxes, it's looking at the cost of things that you need to kind of survive and to get along. So we're going to kind of go through some of those real quick. If you take a look at things like groceries and stuff like that, it's pretty much the same thing no matter which side of Federal Highway you're on. You're going to pay about $1.99 for half a gallon of milk. Well, right now you're going to be paying almost $4 a gallon for gas. But I mean, even other things, the utility costs are going to be roughly the same.
Right, but that's due to what's going on in the economy right now.
Right. What's going
on in the world.
So a lot of those costs are going to be the same. Now, the other thing that's going to be the same is going to be the salaries, the wage costs down here. The average wage cost, when I checked earlier today, the average salary is about $74,000 here in Deerfield Beach, which puts it pretty high up in the state of Florida. But salaries down here, depending upon what you're doing and depending upon where you're doing it, can be anywhere from the high 50s up to the high six figures, getting into $300,000 and $400,000.
In the past past year, we've had a lot of people come down and do remote work.
True, and that's also what's kind of driven some of the activities and some of the action going on down here. It's also driven a lot of the property values up because folks are, as we've pointed out in some of our other videos, folks are coming down here because they're looking for a different way of life. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to do the whole video here on Deerfield Beach and the cost of living. We've had a number of folks that have asked us, what does it cost to live in Deerfield Beach? The big question ultimately is, what is the cost of living and can I afford to live here?
Right.
I guess is what it really comes down to. One of the things that everybody needs to take into consideration, of course, is taxes. And everybody talks about taxes, and seeing as how the time of year it is that, we're kind of getting close kind of tax time. I actually read, kind of interesting as a side note, I read this on the news this morning, is that the IRS is actually hiring 10,000 new people to support tax season this year. But from the tax standpoint down here in Deerfield Beach, in Florida generally, and Deerfield Beach specifically, there's kind of a neat thing going on. Now, for those of you that don't know, the state of Florida has no income tax. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. No state income tax in the state of Florida. Okay.
Yay.
Which for those of us that have moved from areas that have state income tax, that's kind of like an instant pay raise. I was actually talking to Walt, one of our clients from Oregon. He was telling me that just by moving down here, that was going to save him upwards of almost 14%.
Wow.
Just coming down here. I mean, it's just 14% more of his salary, of his pay, he's going to be putting in his pocket.
It was a pretty good pay raise.
Oh, very nice. Can you imagine what you could do with a savings of 14%?
I thought that was absolutely amazing. Now, just because you get a pay increase for not having to pay state income taxes doesn't mean that you're not going to be paying local taxes and sales taxes. Florida does sales tax a little bit different than some of the other areas, especially from where we were used to when we came down here, those many years ago from Georgia. The state and the county and local sales tax rate's about 7%. That's certainly not the lowest in the country, but it's not up there like some of the other states are. I mean, I think I read somewhere that in certain places in Oregon, for example, it's super high. Chicago, I think, had 11%. It was just enormous. But not everything down here is subject to sales tax. A lot of the groceries are not subject to sales tax. Medical supplies and stuff like that are not subject to sales tax. So not everything is taxed. They're not going to tax you out the wazoo for every single thing. They're just going to tax you out the wazoo for a few other things. The gray boat that just went by, I see by the name in the back, Sexy. I would agree with that. That was one sexy, sexy boat. That was one big boat too. That's one of the reasons why folks come down here. If you recall, Suze, we talked a little bit about one of the cost differentials between East Deerfield and West Deerfield.
We did.
Being the property value. One of the things that kind of comes through in that is that even though the tax rate is essentially the same, I think it's 1.022% per thousand.
Okay, so put it in layman term.
So basically, it's $1,022 per $100,000 of property value.
Okay.
Because you're paying more for the properties over here in the East, your taxes are going to be higher. Even though the tax rate itself is the same, regardless of where you are in Deerfield Beach, because of the higher property values and the higher property prices over here on the east side, your taxes are going to be higher. Everything else being the same, you're going to pay a little bit more for taxes. And of course, you're going to pay a little bit more for insurance because you're on the water and it's just the way it's going to be.
What about power?
That's a good question. For the most part, it's going to be pretty much the same. Now, where we are right now is actually known as Deerfield Beach Island. It's a little barrier island. Since there's no power supply on the island itself, basically, you're having to take power from power lines that are coming down from Boca and coming up from the Hillsborough Inlet and Lighthouse Point area. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a whole lot more, but you may see in times of high power usage, you may see a little bit of a surcharge kind of going through there. I haven't seen much recently because things have been pretty good and FPL has been doing their job pretty well. Sort of power and light. Power is pretty consistent regardless of what side you're going to be on. I guess the big question is, Suze, what do you think? Do you think Deerfield Beach is an affordable place to live based upon the cost of living?
I think Deerfield Beach, yes. I mean, considering it's very close to Boca, it's close to Lighthouse Point, it's very close to Fort Lauderdale proper, you're very close to 3 different international airports, and we've got a couple of regional airports. It's a lovely place. We haven't even talked about how beautiful the boardwalk is here.
You know what, Suze? Fortunately, people at payscale.com they actually agree with you. So from the standpoint of that, is the cost of living increase in Deerfield Beach from last year to this year is only 1.2%, which is basically much, much lower than the national average. The largest increases that they had were basically in housing, of course, and transportation. Housing is up about 15%. And a lot of that is just due to what's going on in the real estate market now, what's going on with everything else, and the fact that there is just so little inventory going on. And transportation, because basically, as I said, you're on a barrier island, it's not as easy to get around. Basically, you're either driving or you're relying on those folks that drive those cute little golf carts that have knobby wheels on it and all kinds of neat colors, or you're hoping for the increasingly infrequent BCT, which is Broward County Transit. Other costs like food, energy, and healthcare and stuff like that, those have actually gone down, making it, as you said, basically, Deerfield Beach is a very affordable place to live. We hope you guys found this video informative, interesting, and amusing. If you did, we hope you'll consider subscribing to our video.
And next week we have a video coming out about, is Deerfield Beach a great place to retire?
Until next time, thanks.
And we'll see you.